It's time for the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. It is another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com as I hit my microphone. Breaking down districts 1 and 2 week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. Let's bring on our North Idaho expert, Ryan Scaggs. Yo, what's up, Scaggs?
Never fails having something crazy go on. The internet finally works, so we're here.
Yes. We were supposed to start this at 10 o'clock. It is now 10:45 or just after. If this were an episode of The Simpsons, we would be bemoaning the internet problems from your provider, Horizon.
Yes.
So you can piece together which company we're talking about there. But here we are ready to go. I just saw a Simpsons episode from this year, and they were making fun of Ozempic. But in the show, the medication was called Thin Quick.
Oh, I love The Simpsons. The writing's always brilliant. So
yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. So, the North Idaho Prepcast brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance Northwest, cornerstoneinsurancenw.com for all your insurance needs. You can find out more there. Okay, Ryan, are you ready to look at all of the baseball super regional and softball district tournament brackets?
I sure am. If I wasn't, I have to be now. So let's go.
Yes, we are going to fire through these quicker than usual because I have another Prepcast coming up very soon. So, and we're at the point of the season where everything gets condensed. And just a quick programming note, you and I, we won't have a North Idaho Prepcast next week. Instead, Monday night, live at 6 o'clock Pacific time, it'll be our state softball tournament preview show where some of the IdahoSports.com Prepcasters will hop on and break down all the state softball tournament brackets and all that fun stuff. We'll take your shout outs live. That's 6 o'clock Monday night Pacific time. And then the next night, Tuesday night at 5 o'clock Mountain time, it'll be our state baseball tournament preview show where same deal. We'll have the broadcasters on. We'll break out the state baseball brackets, take your questions and shout outs live. So that's what is on the horizon for next week. And then in 2 weeks, you and I will circle back and recap all of the spring sports championships. Sound good?
Sounds awesome, man. There's a whole lot going on. We're drinking from a fire hose.
Yes, we certainly are. And that's a good title for the podcast for sure. Okay, let's start with the baseball super regionals because that is the big story on everyone's minds here. I am going to start by saying my grasp of reading brackets has slipped a little bit where we were talking about all of the different classifications and all the formats. I mistakenly said that the 4A baseball super regionals was going to be a 12-team affair, just like all the other classifications. No, instead it was an 8-team affair where number 1 hosts number 8, kind of like the 2As where it's basically just a best of 3 game series among the top 8 teams. And then those 4 winners will move on. So we talked about, oh boy, does Bonners Ferry have a chance? No, they do not because they've not won their district title. So that's what you'll see there. So let's start there with the ones that are the best of 3, and then we'll get into the actual like super regionals. As an aside, as I share my screen here and show you the brackets, I always recommend that you make your screen full size so you can see these if you're watching on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, or X account. You could also, if you're just listening at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts, no worries. We have all the district brackets and the state tournament brackets right on our homepage. Real quick, my opinion, if 4A baseball was just going to have 8 teams, and they were just going to do like 1 hosts 8 and so on and so forth, why didn't you just keep the 8-team state tournament? Like, what was the point if you're not going to actually expand the field? That was the point of having the super regionals. So,
yeah, I mean, was it that, or was it to shorten the tournament itself next week? To me, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but I'm in the same boat with you.
Yeah. So you will see here that Timberlake, by virtue of winning the district championship, gets to host. But you'll notice that they are actually the number 8 seed, according to Max Preps. And guess what? We can't have North Idaho host anything. So next year, that is actually changing where Timberlake could still win the district, but then they would have to actually be a top 4 seed to host as well. So enjoy it while it's here, Timberlake, because nothing is guaranteed next year. So.
Yeah, and then obviously they get the privilege of hosting Coal Valley in Game 1 tomorrow evening. So they're playing at Post Falls High School. They didn't want to have to travel all the way out to Spirit Lake in the nether regions of Kootenai County, which is, from my calculation, I think it's 21 miles from Coeur d'Alene. So for some reason, Post Falls makes more sense for hotel space. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, like not only is Timberlake getting the shaft on next year, not having the chance to host unless they are a true top 4 seed, because it is almost impossible for Timberlake in a 2-team conference to put together the type of schedule that's going to allow them to have a top 4 Max Preps ranking. But this whole deal where they don't even get to actually host Coal Valley Christian, I get it. They're coming up a long way to play this. I don't know if it was for lodging concerns, like, Spirit Lake is a small community, but guess what? There's plenty of hotels in Coeur d'Alene. And like you said, it's maybe half an hour.
Maybe 20 miles. Maybe 20 miles. Yeah.
I know
it's 10 this. It's like 11 miles from Rathdrum. So, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So to make Timberlake travel, I don't like this at all. So that is what we're looking at here. I think it will be tough for Timberlake to get the series win. They will have quote unquote home field advantage, but Coal Valley Christian is a very good team, but we'll see if the Tigers can advance to state.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to take, some of their arms that probably didn't get a lot of testing this year to show up and show out if that goes to a true game 3 situation. And they're going to have to hit well. That's going to be the thing. It's Coal Valley. We know they can play defense and pitch, so Timberlake's going to have to wake the bats up.
Yep. Game 1, Friday night, 5:00. Game 2, I know that says 11 p.m. That's 11 a.m. Okay, don't be going at midnight to try and take in Game 2. Game 3, if necessary, will follow after that. Okay, the only other classification that has these best-of-3 series are the 2As, where Potlatch gets the number 1 seed as the district champions out of the North. They beat Troy in a very tight championship game. Troy got on a little bit of a Cinderella run and then actually had to go travel for theirs. We'll get to that in a second. But Potlatch is going to host Glens Ferry, one of 2 teams from the South to qualify. We talked about it. 6 teams from the North were going to make it to the Super Regionals. That's what happened here. I don't anticipate Potlatch having any problems here with the Pilots.
No, I think the Loggers are going to take care of business and run right through them. I think it's going to be a buzzsaw situation. You talked about the district tournament, man. It was a wild tournament. I mean, it was crazy to see, what they run, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But Potlatch is I think they're going to take care of business and find their way playing in Orfino next week.
Yep. We have also here Kendrick, the number 2 seed. Kendrick actually lost to Troy in the semifinals at districts, but still had a strong enough Max Preps resume to get the number 2 seed. They will host Genesee, the 7 seed. This is an all White Pine best-of-3 series here. I fully expect Kendrick to advance in this one as well, considering how things went in the regular season.
Yep. Playing under the lights Friday night, and then you get a day game on Saturday. I like the Tigers in this matchup and watching them punch their ticket to next week's tournament.
Short travels, 12-2 and 15-4 were the victories over Genesee in the regular season for Kendrick there. Clearwater Valley is the 3 seed. They will host Prairie, the 5 seed. This is our other all White Pine final. Now, originally, Troy was slotted into this position when the first brackets were released, but Monday, Clearwater Valley sent an email to the IHSAA and said, hey, not all of the Max Preps scores were put in from our district tournament, and even teams across the landscape were missing scores. And so they correctly identified that in the official memo that was sent out to coaches and ADs that, hey, the deadline was actually going to be on Monday. Well, they released the brackets on Sunday. Clearwater Valley petitioned for a rerunning of the rankings and a reseeding. And for once, the little guy won. And so Clearwater Valley went from having to travel down to North Star Charter, which we'll talk about in a second here, to now hosting Prairie. And for a school district like Kuski has, that is monumental in terms of cost and expenses.
Yep. And I don't know if any team's coming to the tournament as hot as Clearwater Valley right now. Outside of Potlatch, Clearwater Valley's on a tear. So, it's a favorable draw, getting to play home digs on Friday and Saturday. That's going to be a big deal for this team. And a Prairie team that, is tough. They've been scrappy. So, but Clearwater Valley, like I said, they've been playing tough. This is a team that, keep an eye on because they were the ones that knocked out Kendrick at district. So, keep an eye on these Rams. They're pretty solid.
Yeah, Clearwater Valley beat Kendrick in that third place game 11-3. They have beaten Prairie 3 times this year, twice in the regular season, 20-10 and 21-10, and then they beat them in districts as well, 15-5. So Prairie lost that single elimination game at districts, still felt pretty comfortable about getting in, and that's where Prairie is, but Clearwater Valley definitely the favorite here. And then finally, Troy. You feel bad for the Trojans when that first bracket got released. They were hosting Prairie when they reran the rankings. They get stuck with the number 4 seed, which unfortunately means they have to travel to number 6, North Star Charter, as the district champion from the South. North Star Charter does get the right to host. That's going to be at Meridian High School. I still think Troy has a great chance of advancing here. This is kind of the one unknown. North Star Charter has some gaudy stats, but their league was not that good. So I don't really know, how that is going to shake out.
If I'm mistaken, they came to the Clearwater Valley tournament, if I'm correct. I'm trying to remember. I thought that they were up there for the tournament in Kuski, but
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. So I know it had a memory, just not that recent.
Yeah.
I still like Troy. I think Troy's, they still got complete pieces. That's still a really good program. And I said this, it's going to be an all North State tournament. I really thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year when we looked at it. I'm still standing on that now. I like Troy in the series, and I like the arms they've got. I've got, their offense shows up when it needs to.
Yep. And Troy, I did get some insider info. Troy, kind of their 3 pitchers they were planning on using here in the 3 games. One of the pitchers does not compete on Saturdays because of his religion. And so he's actually not even going with the team down here for this. Wow. So for Troy, you really want to take care of business in 2. If it goes 3, then who knows? So, okay, we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Now let's get to the more fun, the super regionals. Let's start with the one that you're going to be at on Saturday, Ryan. That's right. We are broadcasting baseball super regional action across the state. Not everything, because that would be really difficult to do, but in select areas. And right here, the 6A Super Regional up north, Coeur d'Alene and Lake City get stuck together, which makes it pretty nice. Lake City is actually hosting this thing. Ryan, you will be broadcasting Saturday's action, the second day. So Highland, the 9 seed, Lake City, the 7 seed, Coeur d'Alene, the 4 seed. I kind of like this where, yes, Lake City gets to host it by virtue of winning the district championship, but Coeur d'Alene is the higher seeded team. They still get that first round bye.
They get the first round bye, and they're playing in town. I mean, they were fully expecting to be traveling down south. And, when things rolled out, they got seeded and bracketed with Lake City, which, I mean, you kind of want to see other competition, but at the same time, you get a known entity in what you're going to see. I think it's a really favorable draw for either Lake City or Coeur d'Alene. It's a bummer, though, that they didn't get split up to see if they could both possibly make their way into the tournament. But I really look at this pod looks pretty solid. I mean, Highland's a decent team. Lake City's got, they've been playing very well of late, winning the district tournament. Coeur d'Alene, we knew what their body of work was during the season. So I really look at these matchups as going to be pretty interesting. I mean, realistically could go to that, if necessary, game 5 at 4:00 on Saturday.
Yes. The best of 3 championship series. Coeur d'Alene won the first game tightly 8-7, and then Lake City took the next 2 11-10. And then 7-4 in the third and deciding game. Coeur d'Alene's last 7 games have been against Lake City. The 2 doubleheaders to complete the regular season, the 3 games at districts. I mean, they've already played a best of 7 series here. And so, hey, why not 8 and possibly 9? That's how they used to do the World Series. Like back in the early 1900s, it was a best of 9 series. So, yeah.
We'll do Rochambeau at the end if we still can't figure it out. So let's do some rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, well, we will see. Okay, 5A, Ryan. Lewiston won the district championship over Moscow, but they come in as the last seeded team, the number 12 seed. But they get to host at Church Field. They're going to play Burley, the number 6 seed. The winner of that advances to play number 3 Valley View. I think this is a winnable super regional for Lewiston. I think, hot take, the more difficult game is the first one against Burley.
Yeah. I really do. But I mean, I would agree with you on that one. Valley View is pretty dang solid though, too. I mean, you look at, their body of work also, they getting that 3 seed, they earned it. But the Bengals have been playing hot of late. So, getting a big win in the district tournament. That was a huge deal for the Bengals to do it. And we talked about them as a, possible at the beginning of the season being the one that's going to challenge Moscow, and they were able to climb the mountain. So they found their way in the hard way and ended up, earning the right to host, which I, fully believe is going to be, the right decision in that, and Lewiston, I think, will show up. There's a lot of talent in that roster, so this could be really interesting. Is this interesting bracket to try to get in? We could see this one go in the distance.
Yeah, 1 point about Valley View. A lot of empty calories in their schedule. I feel like the one data point we have is they did play Moscow at the Bucks Bags tournament. They won that game 8-7. We obviously know Lewiston has beaten Moscow this year. They have had a lot of close games that they've won, and then coming in here, Ryan, they have lost 3 of their last 4. So they are not, momentum is not on their side. So we will see if Lewiston can get it done. Speaking of Moscow, the Bears also advanced to state. We felt pretty good about that, even though they lost to Lewiston in the district championship. They have to travel south to Skyview High School. They actually got seeded 4 and 5. Skyview was 4, Moscow was 5. Moscow is going to play Nampa, who was actually seeded. It says 14th. I'm not sure that's right, but they're going to play Nampa, basically the last team in, because Nampa earned an auto bid. And then this to me is also a very winnable super regional for Moscow.
Yeah, I could realistically see the Bears making it out here. Skyview could make a push, though. The question is going to be, what's left in the tank if they end up going to a Game 5 situation and getting their way through the hard way. Playing 4 games in 2 days. That's a lot of ball. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out and what comes of it. But I mean, Moscow's chances, it's there. The defending state champs are right there on the table, and it's in front of them.
Yep, we've said all year Moscow has the pitching depth to survive a 3-game tournament. That's what this is essentially. So I really like Moscow to advance here personally. So, All right. All that's left is 3A. Orofino not only wins the district, they get the number 1 overall seed in this bad boy, which means they get number 12 North Fremont and number 8 New Plymouth, basically the lowest seeds they could get at this regional. I like the Maniacs here. I don't even know if there's a stiff challenge here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Maniacs a ton. I mean, you talk about all the motivation in the world to repeat and get another state championship and to hang in the outfield. That's going to be, Orofino's ultimate goal. They're going to take care of it. I really see them. I mean, they could short out the scoreboard in a couple of these games. So, I like the Maniacs' chances here and of moving on.
Yeah. New Plymouth is allowing 8 runs per game, and North Fremont is allowing 5 runs per game. So I think Orofino is still in great shape. They beat Grangeville 11-2 in the district championship. The Bulldogs also advancing to the super regional, and they're actually the highest seeded team at their super regional. The bad news is it's all the way in Malad City, which is basically like an hour from Utah down there in Southeast Idaho. So Grangeville's got to travel. They do get the first round bye, which is going to help. These are 3 really good teams. This to me is going to be the most competitive of the super regionals. We will be broadcasting the Saturday action from Malad on IdahoSports.com. Joel Richardson's going to have the play-by-play. So Grangeville Bulldog fans, you will be able to tune in Saturday to see if the Bulldogs can ace out either Malad or Parma. But these are 3 really good teams.
Yeah, this is like you said, the most competitive, pod in my opinion. Grangeville's got the puncher's chance. I mean, like you said, they were challenged in the regular season. Their conference schedule is tough. That they played some good teams on their schedule. Obviously having Orofino and playing them enough that you see, the best of the best, and they're going to have to beat the best once they get to state. So can they climb the mountain and make their way out of it and find their way playing next weekend? We'll see. But, they've got I realistically give them a puncher's chance to the situation. Malad, Parma are the 2 teams, in my opinion, though, that I don't know if you want to say that they got hosed by the seeding, but those are 2 pretty good teams too.
Grangeville did play Malad this year at the Glens Ferry tournament. Malad won that game 4-2. The one asterisk is it was a wood bat tournament, so they're going to be playing with the aluminum or BB core or whatever it is here. So again, this is going to be really fun to watch. I think Grangeville's got a good chance, but boy, Malad and even Parma are both really good as well.
Yep.
All right, softball, Scaggs. Let's get to it. Let's whip through these bad boys. 6A, District 1, best-of-3 series between Coeur d'Alene and Lake City. Coeur d'Alene takes Game 1 Tuesday night, 17-7. Game 2 tonight at Lake City. Lake City needs to win to push it to Game 3, and this is do or die. 1 team advances. You don't even get the chance at a play in here, so Lake City's backs are against the wall.
I like the Vikings in this one. And, I think that there's just too much offense, too much defense behind them. They're going to be my pick, and they could really push if they make the state tournament. I think the Vikings could really push there to make, a good showing.
Yeah. We will see tonight if Lake City can keep their season alive. District 1-2 Inland Empire League. This is over. Lewiston, your district champs, they squeeze out a tight one over Lakeland, 9-8 on Tuesday. And now it's Lakeland and Sandpoint playing tonight in Rathdrum. The winner of that will advance to a play-in game in Moscow. Sandpoint eliminated Moscow 13-11. I still like Lakeland to advance here and have a decent shot at winning this play-in game.
Yep, I think the Hawks could be playing next week. I really do. It's a winnable game, and I think Saturday is another winnable game for the Hawks. And you talk about turnaround in a program. They've had a great season, and just the unfortunate circumstances of Lewiston coming down a classification. I think this would have been Lakeland's year in the IEL, but I still think that they're going to probably have a really good shot of making their way into the tournament next week.
And just in general, this 5A tournament more wide open than in years past. For example, Pocatello, the number 1 seed from their district, the defending champs, they have to do a play-in game against a really good team from District 6 to advance. Blackfoot, the number 1 seed from District 6, they lost in the semifinals. They're playing tonight in the second and third place game. Essentially, it would be basically Blackfoot and Pocatello playing in a state play-in game. So that's like one good team that's eliminated. Twin Falls, the number 1 seed from District 4, they've already lost. They don't have any chance of advancing to state. So this thing is wide open. Lewiston, I think, would have a really good shot down there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think both District 1-2 teams, they've got a crack at it. They really do.
Timberlake wins the District 1 Class 4A title over Bonners Ferry. We talked about how Bonners Ferry needed to win this first game to basically ignite the best of 3 series. They did not do that, so Timberlake just needed to win once. They did. A tidy 6-0 victory. And I have some stats here I'm going to try and pull up as I'm working on my prep here. You're going to see the Word document I'm working on here. 6 straight district titles, 18 of 25 district titles since 2000 go to Timberlake as well. And 2000 was Timberlake's first district title in school history. So just more excellence there for Timberlake.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome job by them, and more of the same. I mean, we look at them playing next week and seeing what they're able to do. It's going to be, interesting to see if the Tigers can make a run at things.
Yep. All right, 3A Central Idaho League. Orofino wins the district title over Grangeville 16-7. Grangeville beats St. Mary's in the third place game 15-5. Grangeville is going to play Melba in the state play-in game Saturday in Moscow. Melba came into their districts as the number 5 seed, Scaggs, and so some big teams went toppling. I like Grangeville in this play-in game.
I do. Yeah, I like the Bulldogs winning that game on Saturday. Give them a shot. And Orofino's looked really good all year, obviously, and Grangeville coming in, we know some of the name notoriety just with other sports going on, but they've got athletes in their roster, and that just applies. I think, if you're a 3-sport athlete, like you see at all these small schools, that translates. And Grangeville, they're a gritty group. They play hard, they don't give up. They score a lot of runs. That's the thing that, you've seen out of them. They put up 7 against Orofino. So that just tells you they still got offensive firepower there. So I think that they've got enough to get past Melba.
For sure. And to wrap up the White Pine League 2A, where Potlatch defeats Genesee by a single run, 7-6 to win the district title. Genesee then defeats Clearwater Valley 12-2 to also earn the auto bid to state. Clearwater Valley still in great shape to get one of the 2 at-large bids available. They are currently ranked 4th in the Max Preps rankings. I think that might be it, though, for North Idaho, because you've got 3 of the top 4 teams in Max Preps from the North: Potlatch 1, Genesee 2, Clearwater Valley 4. But then the next 3 slots are all teams from the South. Prairie, who maybe has an outside shot, they are ranked 8th in Max Preps. I don't think it's going to be enough to climb the ladder. So we're looking at 3 teams, probably Potlatch, Genesee, Clearwater Valley at state.
Yep. And, Potlatch winning it, that's hats off. That's a great job. I mean, Genesee, we've had last few years having a stranglehold on things, and Potlatch being able to get the district title. That's a big deal come seed on the seed line and everything else to boost that Max Preps ranking. So awesome job by the Loggers getting the win there. And Genesee, they're going to be there. And that could have been just a foreshadowing of the state championship game again, possibly. So, both those teams, I think, are very, very strong contenders come next week.
Yes, no doubt about it. And that will conclude the North Idaho Prepcast.
Record
brought to you
time.
by-
We got 25 minutes.
when we really need to, we can be very motivated and be very dense in a short amount of time. So, Ryan, enjoy the rest of this week. We're looking forward to the call of the game on Saturday. I will be talking to you offline because I got to get you gear and all that stuff.
Yes.
It'll be after I do my next show, which starts any moment now. The Magic Valley Prepcast with Scott Burton. If you want to tune into that, it's coming up next year on the IdahoSports.com family of networks. Until then, for Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in on IdahoSports.com.